To all those above me that watch over me, to all of you, my fave parapeeps on this side of the veil, welcome. This is Sean Whittington's Paranormal Ministry Live 2.0. I'm your host, Sean Whittington. I'm a seminarian in the United States Old Catholic Church, recently ordained a deacon in the United States Old Catholic Church, and this very morning took my temporary vows in the Old Catholic Benedictines of Immaculate Mary. So God is laying a lot in my lap right now, and I love it. Real quick note before I go into, as Zach would put it, my spiel, my opening spiel. I love that. I just want to. I'm going to be doing a lot of praying for just everyone out there that's sick right now. Everybody I know that's sick. Zach, God bless him, is hanging in there and gonna, wanted to do the show today, even though he's tested positive for COVID. Everybody, just about everybody I was with last weekend in Indiana for the ordinations is now reporting testing positive for COVID. I know other friends that have got it really, really bad and thinking about going to the hospital. So apparently COVID is deciding it wants to make a really big comeback this winter. So be careful out there, brothers and sisters. All right. Got a great show today, and you all already know that. That's why you tuned in. I love this guy. I really respect him too. He's a cool dude. So let me check the prayer urn. I haven't checked that in a while. I have been out of town. Barb W. Hi, Barb from Indiana. There you go. It's no coincidence I get a letter from someone in Indiana, and that's where I was this past weekend for my ordinations. Meant to be, guys. God is on the job. On the fence about God. Okay, Barb. Haven't met him or experienced a miracle. Everyone keeps telling me to get good with God before it's too late. Suggestions. Wow, this is a nice little letter, Barb. Obviously, God, the Holy Spirit is speaking to you, or you wouldn't even have sent me this letter, this note. Get good with God. Well, this is what I'm going to tell you. Yeah, that's good advice. Whatever name you want to attach to it, and however you want to pray to him, just pray to him. Make the sign of the cross and just pray to God. Ask him for the things you need and the things that you need help with, and to just come into your life. Matter of fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to offer up a prayer. You didn't ask for it, but I threw you in the prayer urn because I plan on offering a prayer up for you anyway. In honor of me recently entering the Old Catholic Benedictines of Immaculate Mary, I'm going to say a prayer for you from the St. Benedict's prayer book. My newest favorite prayer, I say it all the time, and this is perfect for someone searching for God, and it is called Searching for God. So I offer up this prayer for Barb W. in Indiana and everyone else out there within the sound of my voice, searching for God. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. O Lord my God, teach my heart this day where and how to see you, where and how to find you. You have made me and remade me, and you have bestowed on me all the good things I possess. And still I do not know you. I have not yet done that for which I was made. Teach me to seek you, for I cannot seek you unless you teach me, or find you unless you show yourself to me. Let me seek you in my desire. Let me desire you in my seeking. Let me find you by loving you. Let me love you when I find you. Amen. Barb, keep me posted on your search. I'll light a candle for you too after the show. But stay in contact. Alrighty, let's check the ministry mailbag. The ministry mailbag is different than the prayer, and somebody asked me that the other day. Paranormal stuff usually comes to me here and I throw it in there. The other one's all mostly faith-based stuff. Alan A. from California, just next door to me. Hi, Alan. I like to smudge. People tell me all the time sages for conjuring. Thoughts? What do you use? Well, I disagree. It's all in the intent. I do use sage. I use sweetgrass. I use a lot of Palo Santo wood, but sage is fine. Got lots of bags of sage too. Sage is fine. Just something in the intent. If you use it and conjure, then you're using it to conjure. If you're using it to change up the vibrations in your home and smoke out something that's a little malevolent or spirits that are disembodied human spirits that are up to no good and you want to smoke them out, it's all in the intent and the prayers that go along with it and the things you say and how you use the sage. But if you don't want to use the sage, like I said, Palo Santo wood, Palo Santo translation, holy wood. You don't want to use that. Use Palo Santo wood. Get yourself a nice little, you know, a nice little censer, a nice little incense burner, and buy yourself some little charcoal briquettes to go inside your censer. And what else should you be buying? You should be buying some incense, small little bags of ground up incense like frankincense and myrrh. And if you can't find any of that, you can get traditional frankincense and myrrh incense sticks. Get them blessed and just burn your incense. And you don't need a burner for that. But if you get a burner, you need the granulated bags full of granulated incense that you can spoon or just pour into your burner on your hot charcoal. But yes, I find nothing wrong with sage at all. It's all in the intent, brother. Okay. Anything you want to know about my wife and I and our ministry work, go to our website, www.ghost-b-gone.biz. If you go there to visit, remember my wife and I don't charge for our ministry work, helping people with their paranormal issues. So trust me, brothers and sisters, I know times are tough. But if you notice the donate button and you're able to do so, click on it and send my ministry in a small donation. I promise you it'll be appreciated from the bottom of our hearts. And trust me, we'll put it to good use. If you're having issues of a spiritual nature not attached to the paranormal, there's a place there where you can make an appointment to speak with me. But don't leave the website without navigating over to the page called Introduction to Spiritual Warfare Course/Books. On that page, you'll find both my books, God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry, and God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry 2. If you haven't done your good deed for the day yet, part of the proceeds of every sale of every copy of my books goes to support stjude.org, St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, Nevada, and the ASPCA. So it's a no-brainer. You get to help some of the neediest children on the planet and the animals too. How cool is that? You can get the book a little less expensive at Amazon, but if you get it off the website, it leaves my office here. I autograph it and I put it in a beautiful house blessing kit. Speaking of house blessings and smudgings, it comes to you in a beautiful house blessing kit. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Scroll a little bit further down, and you will see the Introduction to Spiritual Warfare course. I'm the instructor, I offer a 12-week online college-level course, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare. And this is the course for all you true warriors for Christ out there that feel a calling and a longing to want to know, have more knowledge, let's say, when it comes to drawing your line in the sand, making a stand, circling the wagons, and putting up the fight of your life, if need be, against, God forbid, true evil if it ever comes calling for you. This is the course for you. No, it's not going to teach you how to be an exorcist. That's a completely different calling. But it will teach you what I've experienced and what works for me in dealing with these things in terms of spiritual warfare and protecting you and the ones you love, what I've learned and seen and what works for me over the past, let's say, half a dozen years or so while I've been in this field. You can enroll in the course there at the website, or you can just reach out to me and talk to me about it before you make that type of commitment if you want to know a little bit more about the course. But I do have a Sean Whittington's Introduction to Spiritual Warfare Facebook page. If you want to go there and read a little bit more about the course, you can. All my students that graduate get a stunning diploma, certificate of completion suited for framing, along with some other very special blessed items that you can only get from yours truly. So, most importantly, please keep all of my former, current, and future students in your prayers. Thank you. Okay, the moment of truth. Like I said before, I love him. I respect him. He's a cool dude. He is the host and producer and creator of Dark Fringe Radio, which has been around forever. I think last time I checked, they had like over 92,000 followers. I love his show. I've been on his show. So I'm so pleased that he was able to come on my show. So without further ado, brothers and sisters, you all know him, you all love him. Let's give him a big, warm Paranormal Ministry family welcome to the one and only William Martinez.
Good evening. How's it going, Rev?
I don't see you yet.
Oh, you don't see me yet. It's not coming through yet. Let's see. Hopefully it'll come through.
Do you got your
Hold on.
your camera turned off? Okay, now it's just me. Uh-oh.
Yeah, it was on just a second ago.
Yeah, it was. We talked in the green room before we came out.
Yeah, here we go.
Hold on. Will, you may need to go out and come back in. Okay. I can let you back in, but that's what you may need to do, unfortunately.
That's okay. I'll be waiting for you, Will.
You got it, buddy.
See, there you go, guys. God laid a lot into my lap this last weekend, and you know who is still trying to throw a monkey wrench into everything I do. Last weekend, I flew to Indiana, and it was beautiful. I was ordained a deacon in the United States Old Catholic Church, along with a couple of other seminarians. One of the deacons was ordained to the priesthood. Then there was a wedding. Reverend Mother in our church got married that weekend, too. So it was a really, really beautiful thing. You can go to the United States Old Catholic Church clergy and parishioners Facebook page and watch the film of the wedding if you want. And if you don't belong to a church group right now and you've been thinking about that and interested, join up on that page. We welcome everyone. There he is.
There I am. Thanks for having me on, Rev. I really appreciate it. It's an honor, really.
Brother, thank you for. I know you're probably one of the busiest people on the planet, and you took an hour out of your busy.
No, that's you, buddy. Hey, you take that. No. Don't give me that. That's all you. I see how busy you are. You're a man who is on the run constantly. Congratulations to you, by the way, for last week. You know, the ordination and everything. That's just fantastic. I'm just ecstatic for you. You know, congratulations. Continue on, my brother. That's all I can say.
Thank you. And I know you mean that too. So thank you very much. Yeah, it was a very, my bishop told me it's going to put an indelible mark on your soul, and you could feel it when it happened. And it was just a really, I don't even want to talk about it because I'll tell you, well, one, I'm a crybaby and I always get emotional. But two, it's like you can't really put it into words going through something like that. And you don't want to use terms and words that are just inadequate in describing the feeling. So
I can only imagine. That's all I can say.
I may be they're thinking in the spring we're going to have another retreat, and I may be ordained to the priesthood then and take my permanent vows in the Old Catholic Benedictines of Immaculate Mary, but we don't know where that's going to be yet, and they're all excited about maybe all coming out here to Vegas, doing out here, or maybe we'll go to one of the sisters' homes in Colorado. We don't know where that's going to be yet, but that's going to happen in the spring of next year. So we'll see what happens. But
just to go back on your mailbag question from Barb, let me tell you from firsthand experience, from somebody who's kind of gone over to the other side a couple times, you definitely want to make your amends. So, good luck to you, and hopefully you keep in touch with the Rev.
We didn't plan on this, and what I love about you is you are an open book, and and being in the business of podcasting, you're a talker. I love that. Is there a story there that you might like to share? I'm telling you, brother, right now, in addition to your two near-death experiences, I've had a couple myself. My wife's had several.
Mhm.
And I get so many people right now, especially now. I mean, I'm inundated with people feeling that there's a these are people that never believed before, or believed but never really took that step to join a church community, that are just, they're getting this feeling. They don't know what the feeling is or where it's coming from, but they're getting this feeling to get good with
Mhm.
God, or whatever,
Mhm.
to them, whatever God is.
Mhm.
So I'm intrigued by your statement, and if there's a story there that you would like to share with us about that, the floor is yours.
Well, I appreciate it, Rev. I really do. And yes, I've had a couple of different near death experiences, but in my case, it happened to me when I was rather young. My very first one happened when I was at the age of 5 years old. So it's a barely a memory in my my mind. But when my mom was still here on this earth, she's passed away since. She recalled a story, and I was 5 years old. I literally fell out of a third story window onto a first story platform. So,
Oh my God.
God willing, um, nothing happened to me. Nothing happened to me, Reverend. Scrapes and bruises here and there, but as far
Is
as
that why
anything
behind your
broken,
back some of your friends refer to you as Bullet Head?
maybe that might be right. That could be it. But yeah, at that point on, I've had a couple other instances as well. The second one, obviously, is the one I remember the most. I was around 7, 8 years old, and I actually fell out of a moving car doing about 40 miles an hour. This was back in the 80s. I'm a product, child of the 70s, grew up in the 80s. So, back then we didn't really have seat belts. I mean, there were seat belts, but they weren't used as often as they are now. And at the age of 7, I had that experience, falling out of the van, hitting the pavement, and then um, just
How old
cold.
were you?
8 at the time, and just cold. I felt cold all of a sudden, blacked out, and then oddest thing ever is that behind us was an ambulance that was not going anywhere. It was actually going back to the hospital. So it had just dropped off somebody and leaving and going back to its hub, I guess. And they were literally right behind us, and they saw the whole thing happen. They literally picked me up right there, took me to the hospital. Again, Reverend, nothing. Um, they thought I may have had a concussion. They did a bunch of tests on me. I spent about 4 or 5 days in the hospital. But when I was out during that time, I do recall being somewhere where I know that I've never been before. Um, it's almost like an overwhelming feeling, but then at the same time, it's not. It's almost like a sense of calmness and um, peace. And I know that kind of sounds weird, but that's what it felt like to me. And ever since that moment, things have been different for me. That's when I was able to start seeing different things. And I really do believe that people that do have these experiences in their lives are opened up to certain things and are able to see certain things, or, whatever the case may be. But when I had that happen to me, it was just one of those things where I knew I was somewhere else. I could hear people's voices. I felt people touching me. I couldn't see anything. That was the weirdest thing. Like, it was like I was stuck, almost like not there, but almost there, if that makes any kind of sense.
Yeah.
Um, but it was a very profound moment in my life. And, you
I
know,
think you're spiritually, your soul gets in this void, and I think
mhm,
there's people deciding what we're going to do with this soul. I
mhm,
think there's actually decisions made whether they're going to allow you to cross or send you back,
mhm.
or that's what I believe. And so I think
Yeah.
that you're like in this, what you were experiencing was being in this spiritual void, and there were actual people. Well, you obviously know you have somebody up there looking out
Hmm.
for you, but you have
Yeah.
these people, and you're hearing this conversation going on. You're having literally angelic beings discussing what they're going to do with your soul.
Mm. Mm. That's what it felt like. You know what it almost felt like? It felt like being in a room of people, and then like people talking to you, and then kind of like moving you along like this with your, their hand on your arm. Okay, like on to the next person. Okay, this way, go over there, over there. So it felt like that, and ever since that moment, ever since when I snapped out of it, and I was in the hospital and I realized what happened. Things have been different in my life, and I've always gravitated to the spiritual side of things, the supernatural, paranormal, and all that stuff. Even from that age on, and that's when I started seeing things. I've actually seen spirits and things of that nature growing up from that point on, and it's changed my life, I think. And I'm not sure for what purpose it is, but what I do is I've come out with this podcast 7 years ago. I decided, I'm going to put all this knowledge that I've kind of put together throughout the years, and kind of put it out there for other people to share, and maybe talk about it as well. But and maybe help them as too, because when all this stuff happened to me when I was a child, there was really, nobody really talked to me about, hey, this is what happened. Did anything happen while you were out? There was no talk about, you didn't go to therapy in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There was no therapy. There was no, so, going through all that as a child, I think, and not really having any kind of guidance as far as that's concerned, when it comes to what you've may have experienced and stuff like that, it can really throw you for a loop. And so, I really gravitated to a lot of different religions, just to learn about them. Religion's always, piqued my highest interest, just to learn about what they, what the crux of, each religion is, and, what the things that they believe in, and the different ways they believe in things as well. So to me, it's always been an interesting topic for me. And, I used to do Bible study when I was in middle school, just to learn about different things like that. I was in a Presbyterian church doing that. And, they would kind of venture out a little bit into talking about even very, occultish type things as well, which I was surprised at that age, because that's the stuff that kind of like drew my ire and my attention too, because it was just like stuff that people don't talk about. So it was, it was a really interesting childhood growing up and trying to like figure out and navigate the waters of, religion. And I remember at one point when I was growing up, accepting Jesus Christ into my heart, and, and going through all that and feeling those emotions, and, knowing what that was about. But it really kind of set me up to be who I am. And it set me up to be this person who has had a lot of different experiences and a lot of different things, and now being able to share it with everybody else.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
When you were talking, I kept thinking of that story. I mean, you were interested in so many different, just religion in general, and
Mm-hmm.
different faiths and what that's all about. And that's a
Mm-hmm.
very healthy approach to it all.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking, do you remember that series that was on? I know for sure one season, maybe
Mm-hmm.
two, maybe
Mm-hmm.
even more, but it was hosted by the actor. I can't remember his name. I believe it was on Discovery Channel. It was called Searching for God.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a famous actor who would travel around to
Mm-hmm.
many different areas of the world and explore that the big religion at that area of the world, wherever it may be. He may go to India or Israel or Germany or wherever else he may go, and he would meet with somebody, and they would discuss in depth
Mm-hmm.
that whole religion,
Mm-hmm.
that religious belief system. And I wish I could remember the name of the actor, but do you remember that series?
I think I vaguely remember it. I don't know who the main person
I've
is that you're
seen
talking
that
about.
actor in everything. I haven't seen him in any. He's much older now,
Okay.
and I've seen him in everything, and I can't. I just can't remember his name right now. But that
No,
was
but that's exactly me. That's what I love to do. I love to figure out different things about religion, different types of religion. It's always interested me. I mean, I've been exposed to so much stuff as a young child. I mean, my mother, for instance, she, God rest her soul, she
Morgan
jumped around.
Freeman.
Oh, Morgan Freeman. Okay, there you go.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
I knew
it's
if I
fine.
didn't say it then, I would forget again.
It'll never come out, right? My mom, God bless her, she exposed me to a lot of different kinds of religion throughout my childhood. Growing up young, it was more of the Catholic side, you know what I mean, and that old school type structure, and then things changed. And she got into Jehovah's Witness for a while there, for a few years. So I was exposed to that. Then I got into Presbyterian church, got exposed to a lot of that stuff. And then, just jumping from different religion to different religion. And then my first wife, she was from Trinidad. So actually got married in the Hindu religion. So I was exposed to that. So, for me, I love all these different aspects of religion. But like what you said earlier, to go back on what you said about, I believe the mailbag or the other gentleman you were talking about earlier, it doesn't matter who or what you believe in, what you call it, as long as you believe in that higher power and you have faith in it. I think that's what's the most important thing, because, and obviously the right and wrong thing, obviously the aspect of things as well, but having that faith, I think, is the most important thing in people's lives. I really do.
Well, let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
My wife's had several near-death experiences,
mm-hmm.
and I have had two myself.
Mm-hmm.
The two earlier ones, one when I was a young kid drowning at the beach, I saw my guardian angel who helped me. I was stuck in a really bad riptide, and she actually helped
mm-hmm.
me swim a certain way and guided me back onto the beach. And
Mm-hmm.
then later, was really drunk. Went through 20 years of being a raging alcoholic and drug addict, so I was actually about to drive off. I passed out at the wheel on the freeway. I was about to drive over a cliff, and the same girl was in my passenger seat and woke me up and made me veer off. I still got in a bad car wreck, but I lived through it. And then the third one was as a result of an extreme demonic attack while I was at this case.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I heard her voice, which snapped me out of basically just kind of realizing, there's nothing I can do to fight this. I'm getting drugged to hell. I'm just going to, I had no choice but to go with it. It was her voice which snapped me out of it, and I started praying. But this is a two-part question for you. I believe that everybody that goes through those types of things, I agree with you 100%. We look different now to the spirit realm. We just do. It is what it is. And that's why many people that have gone through what we go through now see spirit, communicate with spirit, have these types of paranormal experiences that many other people haven't had. Address to me your thoughts on guardian angels, and then address to me that this theory that we look different. And that's why, after going through what you've gone through, you now seem to be a magnet for spiritual contact.
Well, that's a great question, and I'll tackle the first one. As far as the guardian angel thing, I really do believe that exists. There's been instances in my life where if I had made a different choice in a certain situation, I probably wouldn't be here talking to you right now. But to be able to recognize these things, I think is very instrumental as well. Yes, they do exist. I believe 100% they do exist. And I think they show themselves to people who are going to be an instrument for them in other ways later on as well. So what I mean by that, in your instance there, Rev, when we talked about how you had that experience, now look at what you're doing with your life. You've completely changed your life. And because of that, that instance, those two instances that you had with your guardian angel, you were able to, first off, recognize it, number one. Number two, completely change your life, which is exactly what, your guardian angel wanted you to do. And now you are paying back. Now this is what you're doing. This is what you're giving back. This is what you're meant to do. And that's what I believe. That's my personal belief. Others can believe whatever they want, and that's fine. But when you have that exposure to your guardian angel and you recognize it and you can see it and something's there, then that's when you have to kind of like pay it forward or pay it back, I believe. And by doing good deeds, by helping people, by being a good person, I think that's very important. Helping your brother, your sister, whoever you can, whenever you can. And I think that part of the guardian angel thing is for you to also be a guardian angel for somebody else in their life, because you see that to yourself. You felt it yourself, and you've experienced that. You know you can do that for somebody else, and you can also recognize that when somebody else is in, let's just say, not in a good shape or state of mind, whether it be they're into drugs or alcohol or whatever the case may be. You are able to recognize it and also maybe lend a helping hand and say, hey, listen, I've been there. I've experienced it. I understand where you're at. This is what you need to do. Because sometimes these people can't recognize their guardian angel. Sometimes their guardian angel's right there and could be banging a pot in a pan, in a different realm. And then they're just completely oblivious to it because, they're in the state of mind that they're in, whether it be, in a drunken state or, under the influence of whatever the case may be. But sometimes you need to help them understand that there is that guardian angel there. So I hope that answers that part of the question.
Absolutely.
But the second part, I think, is yeah. I think when you get exposed and once you get you peel that the veil and you see over the other side, and you've been through that side, and you've been touched or whatever the case may be, stained or touched or whatever the case is, you are under attack constantly. I feel like that. And whether you could recognize it or not, it's happening. It really is. And, I believe everybody is to a certain extent, you know what I mean? But for those that actually have been exposed, it's like they can see you even more. And that's when I believe that's when you have to kind of make a choice in your life, whether you're going to be a person who is going to perpetuate that negativity and in your life and around others in your life, or you're going to be a positive influence on yourself and others. So I think that's where people kind of go in this divergent. You just go this way. Some people just, say, F it. I'm just going to be this. I'm going to be this negative person. I don't care, blah, 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 blah. I don't care. Nobody cares about me. I don't care about anybody, and and then have that type of attitude versus somebody who, is exposed, knows they're exposed, and then say, hey, listen, you know what? This is going to suck, but I got it. I got this. I got this. And you know what? On top of that, not only do I have this, I want to help other people as well. And that's where I think the difference is between those people that have been exposed to the other side. It's whether you decide to continue that dark path or go to the light and start helping people.
Well said. I have to say, I'm sure they're out there, but I personally, and I've met a lot of people that have had near-death experiences or have seen what they believe is their guardian angel or really feel they've been helped by theirs. I haven't met one of these people who don't just have a completely, wonderful approach to life and are just really friendly people. And, they may not call it God, but they believe in a much higher vibrational power of love and light that watches over us. And now here's the flip side of this coin. Speaking of dark fringe radio, which we're going to get into that, there's the dark side that comes with that. I really, really experience it, being clergy. I'm a big target. But you're also look different to them, having kind of been exposed to that other side of the veil, and then whatever the decision was made to put you back here. So now we're all targets anyways, but I believe that those that have survived near-death experiences and due to divine intervention or, angelic, intervention, what have you, you're brought back. You're even that much more of a target. So I don't know, because I've never had this discussion, but have you felt that side of it and realized that's exactly what's going on here and I need to fight that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've been in situations where I can tell when something's going to happen, kind of ahead of the time, if that makes any sense. Um, and I know not to be there. Remove myself from the situation as quickly as possible. Um, yeah, I really do believe that you get those signs. You get the signs. You've been exposed, but that's also your calling, I believe too. That's your calling. That's what you're dealt, and that's what you got to do. But yes, absolutely, you are exposed to it. You see it. I've been on some investigations, one late just recently, and we can get into it in a little bit as well.
I
But
did see you and I are already psychically connected here because
yeah,
I was already going to lead into that because that was something I didn't know about you. I didn't know you did
Mm,
paranormal investigations,
yeah,
and
yeah,
there's
yeah,
just I stalked you a little bit this past week, and I went onto your website, and I'm going to
yeah.
ask you about this particular case I saw there. But go ahead.
Yeah. So, I don't get out too often, but when I do, I try to do it as serious as possible. And yeah, in my last investigation, I felt something very negative, and we were picking things up on the spirit box that was nasty. I mean, things that I can't even repeat on this podcast. I mean, nasty. And this is from an area that we decided to go to out in the middle of a park. This was a tree. They dubbed it the Devil's Tree.
That's what I was
Uh,
going to ask you about.
the Devil's Tree. And let me tell you, Reverend, this was a pretty. It's really weird because I've lived in Florida all my life, and I'm used to being outside, and I'm used to hearing animals, birds and things like that, chirping things like that all the time, right? That's how it is in Florida. This place, out in the middle of pretty much a park in nowhere in Florida, um, lies this tree that they've tried to cut down and burn and remove it. They can't. Um, and once you get to it, the silence, it takes over. It's like almost being like in a box with no noise. You hear nothing. You hear no nature. You hear no birds. You hear nothing. It's almost like a void. It really is. And to tell you the story behind this tree and what it represents and why we went down there in the first place was back in the 70s, in the early 70s, we had a case down here of, they dub it Florida's first serial killer, but there was a man named Gerard John Schaefer. And this gentleman was an actual sheriff. He worked for the sheriff's office. He was a patrolman. He was a deputy. And he actually ended up being Florida's most notorious serial killer from the 70s. And how that became is because he would pick up hitchhikers on the side of the road and then have his way with them and then strangle them and hang them from this tree with wire and all this stuff, and basically abuse these people, these women that were hitchhikers. And so you have to remember time and place, the 70s, there's no cell phones, there's no internet. These women will go missing and nobody would ever know. He would usually pick them up in 2 counties over and then dispose of the bodies 2 counties over there that way as well. So there was very little correlation to how to catch this guy. But they eventually did catch him because he did end up taking 2 women and tying up to this tree. And as he was getting ready to kill them, he got a call over his radio subsequently. And so the call was to come back to the station, that there was something going on. So he had to leave the women there alive, and then he said he would be back. And so he left, and then as he left, the women escaped. And so where did they end up escaping to and running to? The sheriff's office. I mean, you can't make this up, right?
Yeah.
So they get there, they tell the people there that this is what happened. He's like, oh, I made a mistake. It was just something to scare the girls, which was all BS, obviously. So they started unpeeling the onion, and they found more and more bodies there. Eventually convicted the man, sent him to prison for, I believe it was 4 or 5 life sentences, because 2 others came up, 2 other bodies came up after, while he was, being investigated already at that point. End up going to jail, ends up dying in jail. Another inmate kills him in jail, believe it or not, because he wouldn't shut up about the things that he did, literally. To me, it's so unfathomable evil that how you could do something like that, number one, but then number two, just to talk and, brag about something like that over time. You know what I mean? It's just, to me, it's so it's out of my head. I can't even wrap my head around it. But yeah, this gentleman ended up, going to jail, going to prison, getting killed in prison. But there was a very, very big mark that was left on this area because of him. And then just as recent as 2 years ago, they found another body that's tied to him. Yeah, so this thing keeps unraveling more and more and more. This is a very, very crazy case that happened here in Florida. And I tell you what, Reverend, that tree is not good news. It is. You feel the negative energy. It sucks the batteries out of our investigation. We're out there and we haven't recorded that. It's fully charged. New batteries that I bought right out of the case. Put them in there, and I've already know. The second time I went out there, I already knew we needed extra batteries with it because it happened to us again. Sucked all the battery out of all half of our equipment. We got some very interesting EVPs out of there. I got very aggressive with the spirit that's there because I really do believe he's there. In my heart of hearts, I believe he's there because that kind of evil, I don't know if that could be.
That's going to be his purgatory.
Right.
Yeah, but
he's
not even, he's below purgatory. He's in hell, but that's going to be his hell to have to.
Yeah.
I suspect Zach may have a question for you.
Yeah, I just got a real quick question, and you guys were talking about targets, okay? Which one is more likely to be targeted? Someone of the cloth, like, Big Daddy Sean there, an innocent child, or somebody who provokes? Which one is more of a target?
That's a great question. I'm going to go, oh my God, I don't believe in religious provocation because I know when I show up to a case, it's provocation enough. I see a lot of these ghost hunters go into these cases and they do, it's like they're picking a fight. They're going out of their way to try to pick a fight with this malevolent entity that can just chew them up, spit them out, or swallow them and them out.
Oh yeah.
I believe clergy like me are probably the biggest targets, and I've felt it. The closer, and my bishop told me I would experience this, but and he was right. The closer I get to the priesthood, the more I feel the negativity just really trying to just beat me over the head all the time. So you got to stay strong. Children, like I work a lot of cases where I'll ask the people ahead of, number one, they tell me in their intake form, my child is the primary target here. So when I go there, I know that if whatever's there gets provoked enough just by me being there, they're going to go after the animals and the children. So I usually have the families remove the kids, send them to a neighbor to spend the night, board the dog, board the cat at their vet overnight while I go there to do what it is I do. So I think children would have to be a close second, but their innocence in a way protects them a lot too. And then I forgot the third one that Zach said, the provocation. I and so many of these ghost hunters call me up. They were at the wrong place at the wrong time, said and did the wrong thing, did a lot of provoking. Now they have an attachment. They need help. And many of these ghost hunters have no religious belief system until they need one. They don't believe in it. They believe in these malevolent beings, but they don't believe in a higher power. They learn to regret that and to eat their words when it comes to I don't believe in God, and now they're asking someone like me for help. So what do you think about that? Where would you line that up?
Yeah, listen, I can't speak for the men of the cloth because I'm not a man of the cloth, obviously. So only you could speak on that. But yes, I would say children are the first ones that usually are affected because of the innocence of the children. An innocence of a child is very, very malleable, and they will take advantage of that. And next thing you know, they're doing something that maybe some other people would not normally do because of, being a child, you know what I mean? So I think a child is more susceptible to that than anything else. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I was wondering. I was wondering if maybe it was the naivete of the child that really opened them up, and, because a child's going to do things that aren't, they're not going to know any different. They're going to play with Timmy the ghost just like they're going to play with Timmy the next door neighbor, right? So, I mean, how would they know? So,
while I have you, Zach, real quick, and speaking of children, I saw Adrian's post about the new baby. Talk to us.
Yes.
Talk to us about the new baby real quick.
We have a new granddaughter. Her name's Paisley.
Congratulations.
She's battling a little bit right now. Had a little bit of difficulty, but they're doing everything they can. They're doing great. You know, they're doing good. They just got to watch the blood sugar, believe it or not,
Wow.
of this child already. So they've got it was a little touch and go yesterday. So it was a hard day. Long night, and then of course, waking up this morning and testing and finding out I got COVID again. Thank golly for that.
There you go.
Well, when we're done here, I just saw her post right before we went live, so I will light a candle for Paisley and her mother, and
Thank you.
I'll keep them in my prayers for sure.
Yeah, it'd be great. Beautiful little girl. She's big. She's strong. She's, of course, just a good-looking kid, and takes after her mama. That's for sure. So
very cool.
But
very cool.
Thank you for that, and thank you for the answer, Will. I appreciate that. We did have a question here that I want to. Allison Payne says, "I see children's spirits. Don't they go straight to heaven when they die?"
I'm going to jump out there and say I would like to think so. So a lot of these children's spirits you see, Allison, might not really be children's spirits. That seems to be the number one thing the demonic like to do is in tricking people, is approach as a child spirit. But I would like to think that the children are just so innocent, whether they really know, have been able to make a decision over what happens or not. I believe that innocence gives them a protection that we may not have, and I believe children, their guardian angels swoop them right up. But we'll all know the answer one day.
Yes, we will.
What do you think on that topic?
That's a tough one for me. You know why, Rev? Is because even going back to what I'm talking about earlier, the investigation. I was trying to see if I can get any answers from the women that were victim, to him there. And unfortunately, I did get some voices, and I would shudder to hate to think that the fact that maybe their souls are trapped there, and they shouldn't obviously be there. You know what I mean? Because such a horrific thing has happened to them. But as far as what you're talking about, children, that's a weird thing for me because the first thing that I've ever saw in my life that was a shadow figure was a shadow figure of a child, and I would like to say that it was a kid, but I'm with you on this one, Reverend. I think that you may be looking at something that looks like a kid, but that's how it's showing itself to you. It's not exactly what you think it is.
Well, you know what I want to do before we run out of time? Oh my gosh, I can't believe 50 minutes has already passed by here.
Wow.
I want to make sure everybody knows how to see you, how to reach you. I know you've got a wonderful Dark Fringe Radio Facebook page.
Yep.
You've got a really, really cool darkfringeradio.com website. Then you have the show. Talk to me about how such a successful podcast. Like I said, I just checked the other day and saw over 92 plus thousand followers, and you're everywhere with the show. Tell people how the show came about. Tell them where and when they can watch the show, and if there's what you see the future for Dark Fringe Radio may be.
Well, that's a great question. Thanks, Rev. I really appreciate it. So yeah, Dark Fringe Radio. This was kind of a labor of love for me. I started it with my best friend, Jay. Me and him have been best friends since the age of 10. So, over 40 years.
Yeah, he was the one that called you Bullet Head.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so over 30 years with this guy, and we know each other pretty well. So we decided to come out with this podcast. I decided to come out with this podcast. I asked him to come along with me for this journey he has, and we really have grown this organically for the last 7 years, and we talk about everything. We leave no stone unturned. And, we talk about everything from the paranormal to the conspiracy to true crime. We get into a lot of that. A lot of the true crime kind of, bleeds over to the paranormal a lot as well. So, we talk about a lot of different subjects, we've had you on. I mean, you're always a great guest, and we talk about a lot of the questions that you may have that you would like to have the answer to, or at least have another opinion about, and talk about. So thank God we've come out with this platform. It's everywhere. You can catch us every Saturday. A new episode. We try to get a new episode out every Saturday, but this Saturday we do have another episode coming out, and we actually are talking about the most wicked women in history. And so we're going to be talking about Elizabeth Bathory and another lady that I cannot remember her name at the tip of my tongue, but she was known as some soap lady of Wales, but she was using people's body for soap. So it's a wild story. So we
all right, you're
going
to talk Elizabeth Bathory. I'm in. That is such a fascinating story.
Oh, it is.
That one is. I mean, it's gruesome, but it is a fascinating story. So
it is. So things of that nature. This is what we talk about. We love that stuff, and we try to talk about the nice side of things as well. Yeah, you can check us out every Saturday.
But you're everywhere. I mean, where would you recommend people go to watch?
If you want to watch, you can go to YouTube, right there at Dark Fringe Radio, just / Dark Fringe Radio. You can catch all our episodes there. Also, if you want to listen to us, you can catch us on every streaming platform available, exclusively on Spreaker. If you want to go there and support us there, that's great. I appreciate it there. But our website is probably the best place to go, where you can that's the normal hub there, and you can kind of navigate where you want to go. That's darkfringeradio.com. Everything's right there for you.
And I do know something about you. You are a big fan of paranormal, horror, and true crime, and you got all of that in that one case.
Yes, I did.
Case at the Devil's Tree is all of that in there, which I think is very cool.
And you could go to the website, and we actually have the Spirit Box sessions that we had there, all the all the stuff that we got from the responses and everything there. All that is just on there. Go ahead and check it out, please.
Well, I know you're in Florida, and I also know with the following that you have you ever thought about, everybody wants to go to Florida, whether it's to live or visit. Have you ever thought about doing a Dark Fringe Radio paranormal conference or gathering event there where you're at?
I have been thinking about something like that. That's something probably later on. That's going to take a lot of organization to do something like that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that takes a lot of effort. I've known people that drive that in the past, and it's a really lot of moving parts that you have to maintain. I would love to do something like that. Yes, that'd be wonderful. What I'm doing now, personally, in my spare time, I'm writing a book. So that's something that I'm doing. What I'm doing is I'm taking some of the taking a lot of the paranormal experiences that I've had in my life and kind of twisting them up into kind of like a fantasy world where there's going to be about 10 different stories, but all 10 different stories kind of wrap into each other one way or the other. So, so that's what I'm working on. That's my next project that'll hopefully be out by, I would say, the middle of next year. I would hopefully get that out.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm feeling this, but I'm feeling the need to ask you about horror.
Yeah.
We're just coming out of the Halloween season. I'm from the time I was a little boy, I'm a big horror movie buff. If you walk into my living room, it's wall to wall, ceiling to floor, collectible cult horror movie posters from you name it.
Yeah.
Favorite horror movie? It can be recent, it can be classic, it could be, cheesy B.
Okay, so I will say this. My favorite horror movies will have to be in the mood that I'm in. For instance, if it's during the day and I want to see a movie that's kind of horror-ish, but I don't want to really get into like the whole, too much of it, I'll watch Jaws. Jaws is my favorite all-time movie. I mean, I grew up with that movie. It's unbelievable. As far as others is concerned, it's hard. It's hard for me to really put my finger on it.
People ask me that all the time, and I can't do it.
Yeah,
I say just walk into my living room and go eaty meeny miny mo, or whatever poster your finger lands on.
Right. If I want to watch something classic, let's say I'll go with Dracula, the old original black and white Bela Lugosi Dracula, or I'll go with another one is what is it called? I just wrote an article about it. Freaks. Another one. It's
Yeah,
an old
that
black
is
and
a
white
good
film.
one.
It's a great film. I
Yeah.
mean, you talk about circus freaks that are actually in a film. I mean, back in the 30s. I mean, that's phenomenal. You don't get no better than that.
I'm going to say on this page right here, you've got two fantastic films that one of
Oh,
them I
yeah.
loved when I was a kid, and that's right here, The Hitcher.
Oh,
I
The
loved
Hitcher.
The Hitcher,
Oh,
the
yeah.
original
one.
Hitcher.
I
Yeah.
loved that
Rutger
movie
Hauer?
when I was a kid. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then of course one of the best movies, the best duos of all time, Shaun of the Dead, right there, buddy.
Yeah.
I mean, come
Yeah.
on.
That is my nickname in many circles.
Shaun of the Dead. Oh, that's great. That's actually a good one. You know, it's funny. I actually just recently showed that film to some family members, and it still holds up to this day. They're like, they never saw it. They were like, I've never seen this film. I was like, yeah, it's a great film. Check it out. And they're like, this is good.
Did you know that Simon Pegg, he appeared as a zombie in Land of the Dead? Because he's
I didn't know that.
fan.
really?
Romero loved that movie. He asked him if he wanted to be a zombie in Land of the Dead. So he's in the basement in that place where they're having the zombies fight in the ring, and he's actually chained up to the cage.
To the cage.
And if you know it's him, you can tell it's him. But it's just it's just funny that he would appear as a zombie in that movie.
I would say the only thing that you're missing here is Young Frankenstein. That's one that that is a classic.
Yeah.
So
that is.
And that's probably the reason why I originally started watching Everybody Loves Raymond, because Peter Boyle plays the father.
Right.
And I love Young Frankenstein so much. That's why I started watching Everybody
Loves Raymond. Putting on the Ritz.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Putting on the Ritz.
Yeah. Well, for me, my first introduction into horror films was not so gentle. Let me just tell you. My mom, God rest her soul again. She used to work a lot, and there was a period of time where my dad was out of the picture and stuff like that. So there was a lot of time being home, and there's a lot of rental movies at the time. And so my first introduction was Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original one, and the original Evil Dead. And so from that point on, I was just like, all right. I'm hooked.
Yeah. I used to sneak out of my bedroom in the middle of the night and crawl into the living room. And back in the day, these TVs, you could always put headphones in, the little tiny transistor radio headphones. There was always a place to plug them in the TV. And I'd watch all the old Universal horror movies, but they would scare me so bad. My parents always knew I did it because they'd wake up in the morning, I'd be in bed with them.
Oh, yeah.
So they know he obviously snuck out, watched a scary movie. And well, listen, brother.
Allison, old Twilight Zone, very true, very scary.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Whenever I hear Twilight Zone, I think of the movie and the opening scene where they're playing that Creedence Clearwater song, Midnight Special, and Aykroyd and the comedic actor, I forget his name, a famous comedic actor. They're driving in the car and they play that Turn the Lights Out. Want to see something scary? That's classic stuff. Anyway, brother, before we get cut off here, know I love you. I respect you. I'm not done with you. I'll be throwing dates at you. I think I'm pretty much booked up to the end of the year. Probably throw some dates out because I still have a ton of stuff I want to talk to you about. So
plenty.
I'll have you back next year. You ever need me to come on? Let me know.
Yes.
Just give me plenty of advance notice. We'll work something out. But you're on the prayer list. I pray for you all the time.
Thank you.
Congratulations on all your success.
All right. If you ever need him to come on, you need to find new guests. I mean, let's be. Oh, I'm sorry.
He's right though. I'll be a stand-in guy. Somebody drop out. I'm always home. So if you get somebody cancel at the last minute, you need somebody to jump on, give me a call and let me know.
Thank you.
Have a great remainder to your Friday evening.
Thank you.
A great weekend. I love you.
Feel better. All right. Take care.
Talk to you soon, man. William Smith, Dark Fringe Radio. Will Smith, Dark Fringe Radio. United States Old Catholic Church. Go to their website, usocc.org or bishopjameslong.com. You'll find the link to night prayer. You'll find the link to Bible study if you're interested in that stuff. There's also a United States Old Catholic Church Clergy and Parishioners Facebook page. If you're looking for a church community that no judgment, we accept everyone, check the page out. You can join there and hang out with us and see if it's for you. Thank you to Zach and Adrian Clayton. Congratulations on the new grandchild. Zach, feel better. They're my co-producers. I couldn't do the show without them because I'm totally computer illiterate. Go to Zach's website. Or actually, yeah, it's his website, communitypayitforward.us. Communitypayitforward.us. Just go there and be pleasantly surprised. Help some people. Next week's guest, this Monday. You all know her, you all love her. The 13th, the Joy to the World monthly series with my special co host, Joy Pugh. Dr. Joy Pugh will be here this Monday. You can still find me on Facebook at Lawrence Morais. I hope everybody enjoyed the Eli Roth Presents the Legion of Exorcists marathon yesterday on Travel Channel. I still have no word on a season 2. As soon as I know, you all will know. Thank you to Things Network. Thank you to Scientific Paranormal Inspection Research Investigation Team, Spirit. Thank you to Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment. Thank you to Skeleton Key Network. Thank you to PACT, little p, capital ACT, Podcasting for All Coming Together channel, for all of these networks simulcasting my show. God bless you all for that. I love you all. I don't have a show without you all, so thank you all for tuning in. You're all on the prayer list. And yes, be careful out there this winter. COVID's trying to make a big comeback. And if you've already got it, I'm going to say a massive prayer for humanity versus COVID when we get done with the show here. So it's bad joke time. I'm going to say a bad joke that one of you sent in, and I'm going to pull it out of this haunted carnival Barker hat. Okay, here we go. What's the best name for a man who can't stand? Neil. Good night, Danny. Good night, Jack. Good night, Dog. Good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. I love you all. God bless you all. Peace.